All right, let's just jump into it. Stevo Collab. So probably the thing that everyone came for is this first room here. There are a couple of important features. First of all, the lava here, that really helps because I can put stuff down here. Secondly, I do have a custom auto scroll and a scroll stop that goes all the way across the level here, and it's only used for 2 trolls. But yeah, so that is a scroll stop there, and then we also have a scroll stop here. So first iteration through this room, you start here and you're like, oh wow, it looks like there's only one thing to do. I mean, what is this P? Oh, that's a fish. So funny fish troll. Also, this happens where it scrolls the screen over and it says auto hold right. If you just hold right and nothing else, then that happens. This is what Stevo did on literally. This is literally the first thing he did, was he then tried to hit this. And in previous versions, that blaster didn't come down, but now it does. So you cannot go into the door. If the blaster didn't come down, then that would be a problem. If you hold just right, but you hit this, it also doesn't work. There are quite a few cases that I covered. So when you hit the P switch, that will drop this bomb down. If the switch isn't hit before the P switch runs out, then this block will actually crush the bomb and it'll blow up this scroll stop, scrolling the wall over to reveal this. We have this mole, and moles walk in the direction of Mario. So let's watch this in action. You walk to the right and this mole gets carried by this one. For example, if I were to run, then that happens. And this spring is here because if I go left, if that spring weren't there, then I could then do this and it would still work. You actually have to walk all the way over here and then it just gets hit up into this bomb. Now, you might notice, well, there's a one-way there. It's not actually touching the bomb. Well, it does move the bomb up a little bit, and there's a block on a track behind this P-switch, which goes over here, and the bomb gets crushed against that. So if you mess up the timing slightly, but this were to still work, you would miss the timing on this block. And then the way that you're able to stand on the lava is that this launcher here is timed so that it will go onto this track, come up for a tiny second, and then fall off. You can actually see the launcher if you just look at the lava. So just look at the lava over here. There it is. It's just a couple of pixels, but you can see it if you look close enough. Which is why it's red instead of black, because you can technically see it, but the player isn't going to be looking over there. So conveyors push back spike balls, and spike balls always roll left when you start the level. And this is actually different to whenever you come out of a door or a pipe, they roll towards Mario. So that could be left or it could be right if the door is on the right side. But this spike ball rolls left and the conveyor pushes it right, so it actually doesn't get anywhere. But then as soon as the P-switch is hit, then the conveyor stops moving and the spike ball is able to roll left, and it hits this, which has a spike ball, and that spike ball comes up into here because this is a semi-solid, even though it looks like floor. And the spike ball comes out and the fish falls down and dies on the spike ball. But yeah, so then this cloud goes right and then up and then lands on this track here. And so then why doesn't this work if you hit the P-switch? Well, if you hit the P-switch, then these blocks turn. And that means that the mole can't get over here. And you miss the timing on this block, so you can't do it after the P-switch runs out. If you change the switch and then hit the P-switch, then that will change the switch, and then the bomb will fall down here, and then the P-switch will be hit, and this falls down, and all the rest of this stuff here is just to make sure that this doesn't happen, that this doesn't blow up under any other circumstance. Now let's look at how this room works in general. So there are 2 blasters here. And you can see that they are on top of a red block and a blue block. So only one of them will spawn when the room is loaded. And when the switch is hit, no matter what switch state it was in when the room was spawned, that blaster will die, revealing the door. So all that has to happen is that an on-off is hit, and then one of these will disappear. Even though all the player needs to know is that they need to hit the P switch every time. Which is actually the intended humor of the dry bone troll, is that you have to hit the P switch every time, and then they forgot about it on the last time. But a lot of people kind of missed that because the hint is unclear, and I didn't have enough space to make it more clear. But anyways, so second time you come through here, the switch is going to be different, and let's see what happens. You spawn from this door, and when you hit this, that fish falls, that one falls and dies, and then this flame also falls. And then after a bit of time, then this launcher is killed. Now, how does that happen? Well, the first time that you spawn here, the fish doesn't spawn because there are red blocks there. Same thing with the fireball. Now, normally fish are intangible, but it has a parachute. So it is tangible when it has the parachute, because otherwise it's not able to bounce off of walls and stuff. So that's how you can spawn block fish or fireballs or anything else that's normally intangible. But yeah, so it's spawn blocked, and then whenever it finally spawns, it is being held up by this twister, and it never falls until the P-switch is hit, and then the fish falls, and then this is just timed correctly. So this twister isn't going to walk off the edge simply because twisters don't walk off the edge, kind of like red Koopas. And this one is up higher, but the twister is on the same level, so it has farther to fall, and so the timing just works out. Yeah, and so the fish falls, and then this falls, and then the fish dies because, again, this spike ball was spawned, and it rolls right, because anything that comes out of a block rolls to the right, and so when it first spawns, it kills this fish, and then it's timed so that it kills this fish as well. But yeah, so the psychology now of how I know where the player is going to stand. Okay, so let's look at this, how the player will. So they hit this, and then they need to wait somewhere, because the first time that they went through, they had to wait for this to be killed, and then they could go in it. So they know they have to wait, and they know that nothing kills them. So where are they going to wait? They're going to wait close to where they need to go. So they're going to go to the right. They don't want to fall in the lava, and there's a suspicious block here, so they're not going to stand there, and there's a track here, so they're going to go past the track. And so in this general area is where they're going to be, and that's where the fish is. And the fish will hit them if they are standing in this general area. So this was your previous waiting spot, and it's an open space, but it is dangerous. We can't stand there because there's a fish. So where do I go next time? I'm going to go to the left. Now, if I go left, I'm trying to get out quickly, so I don't want to stand in like this one block of safe space, right? Because donuts are unsafe because they fall and there's lava underneath. This track is just a visual element that extends the unsafe zone of this fish, even though the fish can't actually hit you here. You're suspicious of the track, and so you're going to go past that. So you're going to go over here, but remember, you still want to be close to your end goal. So you're going to stand here, or you're going to attempt to jump up here. Either way, this fireball is going to hit you if you're over here. Now, if you run all the way to the left, then obviously you're going to dodge it. But most players aren't going to do that because they still want to be close to this because they don't want to spend any unnecessary time here. And so obviously the correct solution is to just ignore all of this suspicious stuff and just stand like right here. Which the player will do the next time and not get hit by anything. Also, this whole auto hold right thing, the joke is that usually that's the thing they reveal at the end of the level. So it's like, oh shoot, what trolls are they gonna have in here? Because they're revealing the big secret as literally the first troll. So third time that you come into this room, How does this spring spawn? So the first time this spike ball doesn't spawn, then the second time it does spawn and it breaks this brick, and then the third time this brick isn't here, so the spring spawns, falls down, anything on a parachute gets set like a subpixel to the right. I mean, you can kind of see it, right? It's not touching the POW anymore, whereas here it is touching the POW. So like if we get rid of the parachute, you can see it is touching the POW. And now it goes slightly to the right. And that slight nudge to the right means that it can be hit by this spring. So the spring just falls and hits this over to the left into this POW. Now this POW is in range to kill this muncher. And so the muncher dies and you're able to go onto this donut, and then you can hit the P-switch from above. Because remember, this will already be hit the third time that you go through, because you have to hit it the second time through. Also, the way that the on-off switch is hit to kill the blaster here is that this bomb, remember from before, whenever the switch isn't hit, it blows up this block. But whenever it is hit, then it'll just fall straight down, walk over here, get lit by the flame, and then blow up this on-off switch. And behind this flame is a block, which means that the next time that this series of events happens, it'll actually just go into this little cubby here, and this one-way silences, or this one-up silences the one-way, so that the bomb isn't constantly going tick, 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 whenever it hits the side of it. So the third time that you come through here, it blows this up with this POW, and then whenever you hit this, a flame comes up and kills the player. And also there's just a hidden block layered on top of the muncher that has a spike ball in it. So it's, you thought you had to jump out, but you actually had to jump twice. So the way that that comes out is first time that you're in here, this spike ball doesn't spawn. Second time it does spawn and it breaks this brick, same with the POW. And then the third time the spike ball rolls left and hits this block, which has a spike ball, and then hits this, which has a spike ball, and then hits this block, which has the flame. The reason that these are note blocks is because they are on screen, even though you can't see them because they're under the lava. But so they do spawn their things, and note blocks, this triggers instantly, whereas if these were question blocks, then there's a slight delay. This just has a flame in it, and this does that. Now, you might notice that if the P-switch were running while you came in here, then this spike ball would roll over here, sit on this, and keep going, and hit this and trigger this flame early because this conveyor isn't there. And also, this spike ball hits this on-off switch, and so that clears your path to the door. That's why I have the flame here that activates the bomb, because if it took a shorter amount of time, then you could come into here the third time while the P-switch is still active. Also, the spring waits on the P-switch, on the P-block, so that it only hits the POW after the P-switch has been has run out, so that you are actually triggering this for the second time and not just continuing the P-switch, because that would mess some stuff up. Then you go through the door, and then the fourth time that you come through, this is not activated because there's a block here, and the spring sits on the block. Also, this fireball gets killed every time because this spike ball spawns, kills this brick, and then this spike ball just rolls left and kills this. I don't think it needs to, though, because I don't have this set up for the fish, and the fish never spawns when I don't want it to, so I don't know. The fourth time you come in here, so first time this spike ball doesn't spawn. Second time it does spawn, it breaks this brick. Third time it doesn't spawn. Fourth time it does spawn, and it hits this block, which has a shell in it, and shells float in lava, so the shell rises up, and then it goes on top of the lava, and then it lands on this, which then pulls it back down. And so if you run right onto it, then you'll get sucked under the lava, or you won't even get in it, and you'll just die to the lava. And then once you're in the shell, all you have to do is hit this, which will spawn a spike ball, which rolls down here, hits this, and remember, this brick won't be here, and this note block will drop a spike ball down here, and it will roll right, and behind this is an on-off switch. So the first troll here is that you hit this from above, and that doesn't work because the spike ball can't spawn because there's a semi-solid here. Now, if the player were to get confused because they don't know that this is a semi-solid, where are they going to check with the dry bone shell? Well, they know dry bone shells can float on the lava because they saw it floating over here. So they're going to try and go down here. And in doing so, they go left and then they go right. And going right, they're able to go under this. And so that teaches them, I can actually go where it looks like there's brick. And then they go back over here because this is the only place they know to die. And they go, oh, wait a minute. And then they can go under here and realize, okay, I could have hit this from the bottom and that would have ended differently. Whenever the on-off switch is hit, that kills the blaster. And also drops the spring down and it hits the POW, killing the muncher, which would have let you hit the P-switch again. Let's look at the 5th time. So the 5th time, the screen scrolls up and lets you see this key door, and it gives you a key, and then the spring falls down. So it shows you, so the spring falls down and you get the key, which both of these things draw your attention up here, and the key door is of high contrast to this. We really didn't need the key, but it's there because it draws your attention up here and it lets me use a key door. Because before, people weren't seeing this key door because it was just a regular door and there was no key and no spring, because you can get up there with just Zing out of the dry bone shell, so people just weren't looking up here. They also see that the P block is what's preventing them from getting up here, and then they see this hint. Now, this is the clearest I could think of to make the hint of hit the P switch after you hit this block. And so even if they don't understand exactly what the hint means the first time, they will absolutely understand they'll still check for a P-switch after they hit this block, and they'll see that they can hit the P-switch and it all works out. Now, how does this scroll up here? Well, you might think, oh, okay, well, you just blow up this block. I can see the bomb up there. You just blow up the block the 5th time and then the screen scrolls up. Well, no, it doesn't, because there is a solid wall right here. And because the screen scrolled over and it can't move any farther this way, it's not going to go up either. So this block actually gets destroyed the 4th time when you have the dry bone shell. And then the next time the screen just starts scrolled up here. And then that way you can go in the key door. Now, how does this work? Well, the first time that you spawn here, the spike balls go left, so you can see that, and because of this cloud, it rolls left and it doesn't hit this block. Now the next time that it spawns, it falls straight down because the cloud isn't there and it hits this block. If this rolled right the first time, then the same thing would still work, because it would roll right into this wall, and then the next time it would land on this thing here, but whatever. So then the next time it falls straight down, breaks this, and then the next time this breaks this, and then the next time the muncher falls down and crushes the bomb on this block, and that blows up this. And the spring spawns because the block is destroyed. If you hit the P-switch here, you still have to get in the door in time, and that actually makes the P-switch timer very tight. And so if you slightly mess up this jump, because this is a 1-tile gap here, so if you slightly mess up that jump, you're kind of screwed. And so I didn't want you to be kind of screwed just because it's tight. So there is somewhere around here this P-switch. which let's track. So the first time that you go here, the on-off switch is different and it rolls down here and just stays on this thing here. Then the second time it hits this block. Then the third time it lands on this block, hits this block. Then the fourth time it hits this block. Then the fifth time, if the P-switch has been hit, then it rolls left and hits this P-switch. And this P-switch is not spawn blocked, even though it looks like it is, because that block is on a track. This block, this does the same thing, and it hits the on-off switch whenever you come in here the fifth time. And so that on-off switch has been hit twice now. And so that basically disables a lot of the setups, and that's the only reason I did that. But what it also allows us to do is kill this cloud, because remember, one of these is going to be here, and when the switch gets hit, it's going to die. And so you would be able to just go in this door again, and who knows what would happen. So I didn't really feel like solving for that. So instead what I did is I made it so that the cloud goes right first. And when it goes right, it could get destroyed by this. So let me just show that. So yeah, you can see it gets destroyed because stuff falls slowly enough. But yeah, so let's look at what happens here. So the first time that you're in this room, it doesn't spawn. But every other time, one of these spike balls kills it. So either this spike ball will kill it or this one will. But when the switch gets hit really quickly, that means that none of these spike balls spawn, and this does spawn and it kills it. Now, why is this brick here? Because this seems to handle every case, right? And you might be asking, well, why is this here? And why is this here? Like, you could just keep the like question mark block thing going. I don't understand like why it needs to be like that. And then you might be saying, well, why is this like this and not just another block here? And a bunch of other things seem to not make sense. And that is actually because I wanted to have it so that the first time that you spawn here, there is no sound. So that was a very big task. I had to go through and change a lot of these setups to work so that the first time we spawn here, listen for any one-way noises or things being broken. There's none. So obviously the second time you come through here, there's tons of explosions everywhere. But I wanted it so that the first time that you spawn in here, there are no explosions. So there's no reason that you would expect this room to loop over and over again. And so you wouldn't, and so it just adds to the psychology of what you're going to do the first time. Okay, so that's that room done. And I figured after that, just give the player the checkpoint. Spike here so that the player has to take damage if they have a dry bone shell on, but they don't die if they didn't bring it. Because I feel like anything like that, which is not indicated, and it's just, well, do I, like, it's just a 50-50. Do I bring it or not, right? Or, same thing with the next thing that happens in here. Do I leave the P-switch running or not? And so I have a coin here, but nothing that kills you on the other end of this pipe. And then we have CP1. And this looks like a very, and obviously, you gotta have one last troll, like the piranha plant. And so this of course only kills you if you jump, like it doesn't kill you there, it only kills you if you jump like this. And also you can dodge it by doing this. So it's basically one of those things that makes you feel really stupid if you fall for it. And most people fall for it because they just want they just want to be out of that section because there's so much waiting in there that I could not remove. CP1. So we're not going to go over anything that happens in this room until later because there's actually a lot of stuff that happens in this room, but it's only relevant later. So you go here and that gets switched and then you can go in the pipe. Okay, on to our next room. So in this room, we have this on-off switch. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's a fish, and that fish could kill you. And then, oh, let me get in that dry bone shell, and then the dry bone shell launches at you. Then you have this, and you can go under here, but you die if you get that. And then there's Kaizo blocks. So if you try and Z jump over here after having just tried this, or just because you're anxious to get out of here, then you'll actually eject the Kaizo. You'll actually eject the shell to the left, and you'll land in the lava and not have the shell. Or you'll just jump from here, leave the shell here, and then go over here. But it's funnier whenever you actually kick it, because they're at the perfect height for you to just kick it. Also, this is just a fake out. Like, nothing actually happens here. Like, you're like, oh, yay. Oh no, this isn't going to break me out, is it? And then it just does. And so yeah, I thought that was that was a little funny, haha. Fake out troll. So let's see how this room works. So you come in here, and there's the fish. Now, how does the fish activate something? Because it's not just a height detector, because I have this stupid scroll stop here. I can't have like anything up here because it can't actually affect anything. You hit this block and the fish comes out, and then whenever fish go into lava, they get hot because it's lava. So the fish gets hot and melts this ice coin, and so then that lets this spring go over here and hit this spike ball into the on-off switch. Now, how does this shell just randomly spring out at you? Well, with a spring, of course. So let's change this to this one. And let's get rid of this for a second. Okay. So let's just watch what happens here. So the spring gets set onto this skull coaster here. And then it's just set at a good height so that whenever you hit this, oh my goodness, it's just pushed over into the shell, and then the shell is launched at you. And so this was like just a happy accident. I just noticed that you could set spring. I actually first found out you could do it with this fire flower here. And then I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if you're trying to go for this and it gets sprung back at you? So then I did it with the spring, and yeah, that it's funny. And then also to save a sprite, this 1-up gives you the shell. Also, this shell just rises up whenever this is hit. So nothing complicated there. Also, the timing on this, the reason why this has to go all the way over here is just so that you basically, the player sees the shell, because they hit this and this changes, and they're like waiting, nothing happens, and then they start going towards this shell, because I need their eyes to be locked on this shell as the object that they're trying to get, and then when it comes springing at them, it makes it funnier. So the timing was actually really hard to nail for this, for it to be funny enough. But after testing, I got it, I think, pretty good. So I think that's everything in this room. So now onto this room. So this is one of my favorite sections, and I actually added this in a revision because the original room here was not funny. It was not funny, and also not good, and also there was a lot of spaghetti, and also it was very short, and a lot of people dodged all of the trolls. So this is the Shano setup where the switch. Shoot. I actually don't need this switch thing anymore. But yeah, so this basically just spawns a whole bunch of sprites, and then hits the on-off switch. So you come in here, and you're stopped here, and then the on-off switch is hit and you can progress because the thing is set up. But originally I didn't have this here because it was very quick, but you could actually go over here and hit this block before it had killed these two sprites, because these two things are here so that it fills the sprite limit and then gives it 2 more spaces. But without those 2 spaces left, people could hit this and it wouldn't spawn anything, and they would just be stuck in here, and it was a soft lock. So that's why the on-off switch is here, even though it technically adds like a second of wait, which I don't like. But yeah, so you go in here, and now we can just ignore that that sprite thing for a second. The full way to fall for all of the trolls in this section, which I believe Carl did actually, is you go into this section first because you expect troll magic, and then you try getting this and go into this section, and then Lamau, and then you go into this section, and then oh my god, it's just a flame that falls and melts this. And so then you go up here, and then wait a minute, my way is blocked. Oh my goodness, I actually had to go this way first and then over here and then up here. So they thought left, and then they thought right, then left, and then they thought right, and the only option that they hadn't thought of, which was left and then right, is the correct answer. So they went through every single wrong permutation of the things you could do. And they remember this because they went over here the first time. So if they didn't go over here the first time, then it would be very confusing. And I think Tanuki Dan actually did that, where he didn't go over here the first time. And so then he was like very confused, and then he found this one time, but it was a small boy, so it was not very obvious that it melted this. And then it was like the hint was just you hit this, and then I had to mention that he had found this before, and then it just didn't work. But I think this hint makes it much more clear. So you hit this, and it shows you that can melt an ice coin, and there's a track showing, yeah, if you look, the ice coin is melted by the thing here. And then you look at this ice coin and you see the track going down, and you're like, okay, so you follow it down, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's that block right there, because you remember that block because it was funny. But then if you still don't remember it and you think that it's somehow over here, then you'll go up here. There's a yay sound effect. Originally the yay was in the corner because you had to like do a spam duck jump to get over there. But then I realized that I could actually do it by just putting it here, and now it's also a hint, because it's like, yes, you're on the right track, but you're not quite there. So it is here, but it's one lower, and it's right there. And so then you find out that you can hit that and melt this, and then you're like, okay, so I've solved it. And then you go over here, and oh my goodness, it's literally the same troll again. And yeah, so I thought that was a pretty cool thing. Also, this link is because you could either have the fire flower, or you got hit once or got hit twice or whatever by this fire thing, because it's slightly unpredictable because of claw jank, and it sometimes melts 2 of these, and most of the time only 1, and any number of things. But it's an unpredictable troll. Like, do I get hit or do I not? And so it's not funny. So I didn't punish the player for choosing wrong there. So it's just a link sword. And then immediately gets taken away by this. Then up here is where that entity limit thing finally comes in. So remember, we had 2 spaces left, plus the shell that falls off screen. So that's actually 3 spaces. And those 3 are filled by this fireball, and then this leaves only 1 sprite left. So you come up here, and you need to do something here. And you're like, well, I can just hit the POW. And so you jump up and it spawns another sprite. Then this wouldn't spawn. And well, now you just got played again. But then when you do hit this, ooh, nice, a 1-up. And then the fish. So that's that room. This room is the pick room. Pick a path. Both doors are right. You could have picked any of them. And the only wrong option is I'm gonna outsmart the level creator and go this way, and so that's wrong. But all the other options are right. And so then you pick one. You're like, oh, okay, well there's a dry bones shell here. And then same troll as before, but you don't even get the music this time. So that's pretty funny. So you picked, and then you're like, okay, so I just don't go all the way over. Got it. Cool. Then you go in here, and yet again you picked the only wrong option. And so if you go in a door, then you can die. And so then if you do pick a door and then just pick a door again, then now this comes over and then gets killed, and then that comes over and might kill you. So let's take a look at how this works. So these cannons, first time that you come in here, these aren't spawned. Next time you come in here, they do spawn and they break this brick. Then the next time you come in here, they break that brick, and then the next time the cannons spawn. Obviously this is kind of the same setup for the fire flower, but this time you can like see it for a frame, but it's off screen and the player isn't looking there, so it's fine. But yeah, so it just gets booped up and onto this, and then you can hit it, and it's funny. How does the shell detector thing work? First of all, there's just a flame behind this that melts the coin, so that the first time this doesn't spawn, and the second time it does. Now, remember what parachutes do, it moves it slightly over. So it gets moved slightly over, and it goes up. But the first time, moving slightly over doesn't do anything, right? But first time this doesn't spawn, next time it does spawn, it breaks this, and then next time this spring spawns. And when the spring spawns, now, if this shell is still here, it's going to go into the spring and hit the on-off switch. But if you're wearing it, it can't be here. And so it doesn't spawn and it doesn't hit the on-off switch. So that's how the shell thing works. Also up here, first time this doesn't spawn, second time it does spawn and it breaks the bomb, and that blows up this block, and then the next time it is able to go here and blows up that one, which breaks the scroll stop and it scrolls over. And then whenever it scrolls over is actually whenever this is loaded. And that way, whenever the on-off switch is hit, then this will be loaded and it'll start rolling over. And then this goes on the switch track if it happens, and then falls down and is timed correctly so that it breaks this. And then this is timed correctly so that if the switch is hit, then it goes down, jumps off of this and goes over here, and then these brick blocks are just to signify a safe spot to stand if people don't have the coordination to jump over a spike ball. But most people, as long as they don't stand right here, are fine to dodge it. Also, again, all of these ice coins were so that there's no sounds other than this note block over here, which I really wanted to get rid of the sound of, but I couldn't because I had 0 sprites. Then it scrolls over and you've got the checkpoint right now. Remember that this only spawned when the switch was hit. So the switch is hit when you come over here. So then obviously this is just to switch this back, and there's no troll there, right? Now there might be, so you grab the checkpoint first and then you hit it, and then okay, there was no troll. And so you'll just go in the pipe. And this bomb won't spawn unless the switch is different, and same thing with the spring. So none of this stuff matters right now. And then you can just go into the pipe. Of course, whenever the switch is red, now you just spawn from the checkpoint and you're like, okay, I can just go in the pipe. No, you cannot. And then you get hit by this troll. If you want to hit 100% of the trolls in this room, then the next time you hit the switch and then you go right, and then it doesn't change. And then if you still want to hit 100% of the trolls, Then you activate this once, and then you hit this, and then you see if it'll activate again, and then you get hit by a fish. I think only one person has been hit by that fish that I've seen so far, and that was Quacks, or however you say his name. So that was pretty rewarding to see that troll actually hit someone. So okay, now let's go in this pipe and look at the I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see them, Stevo section. He made one troll in this section, but anyways, so you come in here, and the first time you can just go up here, hit this P switch, and then this fish falls, and there's just a coin behind here, so it blows up everything, including this brick that the coin turns into, so that you just have a path, and you're like, okay, that's pretty easy. But then the next time, after you've just fallen for all of those trolls putting you into that pit, you're going to spawn here, and you're going to, after all those things that just put you in that pit, you're like, oh my goodness. Okay, I finally passed that. And then Kaizo block appears out of nowhere, and you're back in the pit. And then you try and do it again, and you're like, okay. And this troll actually didn't hit anyone yet. But then you go in and you're like, okay, because I think everyone just knew what was going to happen. Kind of. I don't know. Because, like, the bomb is just there. Like, you know it's going to go off at some point. But yeah, so you hit this, and then... Oh, okay, that's... And so then, if you weren't expecting that, then this is timed perfectly. But unfortunately, everyone was expecting that to blow up, so it didn't work at all. But what happens is you go here, and you hit this. Oh, and so you see it blow up. I let them have their reaction time, and then before their reaction time kicks in for the block turning, they already made their decision to start holding right, and so they hold right and go into the pipe. And so this is, I'm going again for people that fall for 100% of the trolls. You go through here, they do this, and then they're like, okay, I'm not holding right again. Shoot. So how does this all work? So first of all, let's talk about this hidden block, because it isn't there the first time. So what was going on with all of this? Well, this is actually setting up this troll. So first time you come in here, the switch is still red, but it's switched to blue, because every time you spawn from a checkpoint, the switch is red, but it switched to blue. Then you go through this door, and it is blue, and while it's blue, all of this stuff can spawn. And so without those blocks there, here's what happens. So the spike ball comes down, hits this, which the bomb will be inside of that block. And so because the bomb is inside of this block, while it's being hit, it just instantly blows it up. And so that way we don't have to wait for the bomb's timer for it to blow it up, or for something else to crush it. So it's super efficient, and it lets us move the player on very quickly. Now this is the setup that actually triggers the on-off switch whenever you jump up and hit it. It is a bomb. Well, it's a thwomp, actually, not a bomb. And the thwomp comes down, hits the bomb, which hits the on-off switch. And that's about it. But how does the thwomp not spawn when you come in here the first time? Well, when the switch is blue, when it's switched to blue, it instantly kills the thwomp. And then whenever you're up in this area and it is blue, then the thwomp doesn't spawn, and this spike ball rolls down, and this cloud comes over and lets the spike ball hit this hidden block from bouncing off of the cloud. And then whenever you come in here again, then the hidden block is there, and so the spike ball just dies, and then the thwomp doesn't spawn. and so it doesn't ever activate this crazy series of events over here. And then this is literally just this. And this actually, I thought this was pretty clever, is that it's a coin. So when you hit the P switch, it kills this, and I don't have to have a separate like P block. It's a melted coin. This amalgamation of things. Ignore this for now. Let's just focus on this. So what happens here? So switch gets hit, and when switch gets hit, Muncher falls and hits this bomb, which hits the on-off switch. So switch gets hit and it's on, and then it gets turned right back off by this. So that's you jump up, you hit the block, and you land, and the block is switched by the thwomp, and then it switches off to let you go back down. And then I hit the P switch first and then kill the bomb. So I easily could have made this an effective troll by switching the block a second time, but I thought people weren't going to be holding right here, so I didn't do that. Because I think it would be funnier if someone does hit it anyways, like with the reaction time thing, because then it's like, oh my goodness, that is such a tailored series of events to what I just did. And that's what I was intending anyways, but like no one fell for it. So now it's kind of one of those bonus trolls that's like, I always put trolls in my levels that I don't expect many people to find, except for whenever they're like actively exploring the level. Like they've died a couple of times and they're like, I wonder what is over here. I think I could actually get up there. And so it's a troll for only people that want to explore more. And I think it just gives the levels like a feeling of depth and like makes them, I don't know, just seem more polished because there's stuff in every single nook and cranny. So I feel like this is one of those bonus trolls where it's like not everyone's gonna hit it, but when you do, it's really funny because you didn't expect it to be there. So yeah, so the switch gets switched once and the Muncher falls down, and then it gets switched again by this bomb, and then it hits the P switch, and then it hits the bomb because the Muncher doesn't die, it just hits the P switch, and then it hits the bomb, which switches the switch again. And then whenever you do make it out of here, the switch switches again because the bomb fell down here, and now the mole can blow it up, and that's about it. That's all this does. There's the Stevo troll. So originally Stevo made a troll that went where this is now, but it wasn't good. Like he just kind of was like, yeah, here's a random troll from my backlog. I think someone actually did post a clip of them falling for it on YouTube because they thought it was really funny. But no one else laughed. Like no one else fell for it either. So I was like, yeah, I was originally just expecting you to just send me like a picture of a Kaizo block. And so I had then right after it this set up here with the like, but I didn't have the Kaizo block marked. And obviously there isn't a Kaizo block there, and you just get killed by the piranha, and it's funny. But so then Stevo was like, well, what if you put a Kaizo block there, and then you like put something that falls on your head? And he had like just moles with the N64 sound effect on tracks that would like hit you if you stood here. But I thought it was funnier if you have the piranha plant there. And also he did have a Kaizo block here. I got rid of that because I think it's funnier to expect a Kaizo block, jump back, and then get hit by the thing. And then also, if you don't get hit by the thing, like if you go all the way back here and then you try and jump over it, then you hit that Kaizo block. And then also, and this is what I mean by bonus trolls. Like this is, if you hit this and then you try and like jump, like, and then you try and jump up here, then you land on the thing. And also the entity limit shouldn't be full. Might actually be a problem. But anyways, what should happen is that then there's a piranha there, and you can't jump up here because then there's also a troll for there's a really hard Oh, maybe okay. Well, before this column of blocks was here, there's a very difficult jump you could make from this block up onto the S. And I didn't put any kaizos there, but if you made it up here and then you tried to jump up, then it just laughs at you. And so that's another bonus troll. I put a lot of bonus trolls in this area. And then there's also, this piranha actually does serve a purpose, because if it's here, you can't just do a distance jump. You have to do like a full height jump to get the right distance. And that makes you do that. And also if you just try jumping here, you'll do that if you're trying to avoid the kaizo block. And if you don't try to avoid the kaizo block, you still hit your head there. So all you have to do is just do a smaller jump. And then, ooh, shiny. I think only one person fell for that. But it's still funny. Because the troll still gets you here if you try and go down this pipe. And so the way that works is there's a mole here, and whenever you're on this side, nothing happens. Whenever you're on this side, nothing happens, but it's whenever the mole looks left. So if we get rid of these blocks here, you can see here, it doesn't do anything. Here it doesn't do anything, but there it crushes the bomb. And that's why I have a block here and not just like a cloud, because Mario Maker is so weird, but this works. So yeah, that triggers if you go left here. Whether you're getting hit by the spring or you see the shiny, you want to go over there. Now, this on-off block is just here in case that doesn't trigger. Like, because if you climb up the vine from this side, it doesn't trigger, and so you could hit this. Also, there's some jank if you go over to the left where a random on-off switch triggers, and I didn't want that to affect it. Then this is so stupid. You can fall in this pit and die, but yeah, if you try and jump over the gap and you go there, then it also just spits you into the pit. If you go into the V, I added this after Tanuki Dan spent like probably 10 minutes trying to go here, and then there was nothing here. But now there's that. But then you try and go back over here, and there's a it's so dumb. You can hit a block here, and if you by some miracle I think you can like run off this ledge or something, yeah, and get in here, and then if you try and get out, you can't. So there, I pretty much just looked for every single secret that you could be looking for and put a kaizo block there. and so you could do that jump from the E and get hit by a kaizo block, or you could do that jump and get hit by the one right above it. If you jump from the T, nothing happens. I originally had a block over the T, but then people jumping from the T to the E would hit it, and then they'd get suspicious and hit. So the people that jump from the T, you know, you can have your fun. There's a block here, and so this basically makes you think, oh, there's probably a troll there, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, there's a breakable blocks here. I wonder what that could do something. Oh. This fish actually has way too much psychology put into it for a fish block. You're exploring to get in the pipe because of this block. If this block wasn't here, you wouldn't be exploring to get into this pipe. You're just going in the pipe. So you're exploring to get in here. And so that makes you less suspicious of kaizo blocks. And so then you hit this one and there's a fish in it. And it's up higher because that makes it funnier. Because you could have avoided it. This semi-solid originally wasn't here. I wanted people to avoid the block the next time instead of hitting it and running away. And so having this semi-solid here gives you an easy way to avoid it so that people avoid it instead of that, because if you don't avoid it, it ruins the effectiveness of the troll when you go back in the pipe. Originally this said other pipe, but now it just says back in the red pipe because other pipe was confusing and people Didn't understand what it meant because it was confusing. And then this is funny because it's like, oh my god, what is going to happen down this pit? What direction do I hold? I'm gonna hold up, or I'm gonna hold left or right, or I'm gonna and then left, because it's just a JK room, and you've seen these and you're like, what the heck is that? And then fish, what? And then most people stand right here, and they're gonna see the fish falling. They're gonna dodge it. If you don't dodge it, it's really funny and you're really dumb. But if you do dodge it, like most people, then you're like, what the heck, you missed? That's not a fish. Well, that's a fish that got me. And so you're gonna fall for one of those trolls. And if you don't, I don't care. This is kind of an unusual way to break a scroll stop. I wanted it to be like there's a scroll stop here, and then after a certain amount of time it goes away. And originally I had like a setup where like flame comes down from here, but then and then the bomb, and then then there was like, so I just made it a mole. Basically, whenever you go next to the mole tries to go up. This spike ball won't be spawned. The mole tries to go up, and it has a muncher on its head, so the muncher crushes the bomb. The bomb is not stacked on the muncher because it has the parachute. Whenever the scroll stop is broken, then it scrolls over a tiny bit, allowing this spike ball to spawn, breaking the POW, which kills the muncher, so that there's not a muncher there. This is funny, because there's a spike and a box under it. Anyways, Thwomp comes down. Vine, you can go up here. The way that works is the Thwomp goes down, and there's a spring on its head, and the spring hits the shell, and it gives you a vine. And then also there's a funny thing. You're like, oh, that spike is dumb. Anyways, and there's only one Kaiser there because the troll isn't that Lamau you got blocked off, it's that Lamau you jumped into the spike. Trolls are funniest when the player had every opportunity to do the right thing and they chose the wrong answer. So having more than one right answer and only one wrong answer makes it funny. You're like, what the heck is this? You hit this and you're like, oh, is that gonna kill the thing? Nope, but that sure would have helped me. So then you're like, okay, so I can just stand here and then get this. The way that works is that this spike ball starts rolling, but it hits this block and this block. And this spike ball comes over and hits the on-off switch. Now when the on-off switch is hit, this space up here is just to give it the correct amount of time so that it's timed perfectly to whenever the spike ball is like right on this edge. And then if you're standing on the left here, then this mole will kill this bomb as soon as it falls down. And because it'll be able to walk left, and this is able to walk down, and bam, blows up and kills this POW. If you're standing on the right, then the mole doesn't crush the bomb, and so the thing just keeps rolling and kills you. Then this mushroom is just here, and the reason that it's over here is so that it bounces right and goes here instead of going left and going to the player. So then you get this and you're like, okay, then I can just go in the pipe. What the heck? Oh my goodness. I needed to not block those off. And so the way that works is the boom boom is here so that the thwomp spawns, the platform is here so that the spring spawns. So then the thing is on wings, which means that it goes to and it's in a block. So things in blocks go right. Which is a problem because winged things are intangible. And remember how to make intangible things able to interact with stuff? Yeah, give them a parachute. That's right. A+ on the quiz. Yay. So then you give it a parachute and it hits the spring and it goes left and instead of right. So people will, instead of killing this, they'll take damage. And so the funniest troll of all is whenever people accidentally remove the good song and they didn't need to. Because in this next room, there's a big mushroom, so it didn't matter. Last room. So CP1, I don't want to go to CP1. What's this block? Oh my gosh, it's the goal. Oh my gosh, it's what I it's what I needed to touch the goal. So that's just a funny visual. And this is it works well in context with the level, but it's also like a meme because there have been so many rooms where it says Spike, and then like you go down and you get killed by like the Spike character, or it then says Spike Ball and you get killed by a Spike Ball, or Spike Top and you actually had to spin jump because there's a Spike Top down there, or it looks like a spike maze or something, but in this case it's just a spike. And so this is the final evolution of the meme. It can now die peacefully because there was actually a spike down there. So Mario does this little hop when he stomps. So a lot of people did this, and it looked really funny on stream because people thought they weren't pressing jump and they were just being an idiot. But no, they were. It ate their input. And so then the last troll is whenever you go like that and you hit the hidden block that's perfectly timed, and you end up in here again. And that hidden block there's only one and it did hit people. Dev exit. So you might be like, what the heck? Dev exit? What do you mean? Where do you need a dev exit in here? Like, the whole level is beatable, except it's not. This last room, remember, pipes spawn things whenever things are on screen. Also, this track is only here to make this track seem less sus. Same with this one. They don't actually do anything. So pipes spawn stuff when they're on screen. So basically, this being off screen means that this doesn't spawn until you break this, wait for this block, and then go over here. But if this was on screen the whole time, like, watch me try and do this, okay? I can't make it. I cannot get hit by that. And what did we do at the start of the level? We broke the scroll stop right here. And so that means that this last room all the way at the end of the level becomes impossible. So remember how this was all the way at the end of the level? Well, that's because that way, before CP1, because this room's before CP1, right? It spawns in this, and so that means that the next time you come in here, then this will spawn a boo, and that boo will come over here and let you take damage and win. Also, this CP1 is here to show you what CP1 is. Because if you're not like invested in Mario Maker, you might not immediately see that CP1 means checkpoint 1. And so you might not understand what CP1 pointing to this pipe means. So that's why I did it with this one and then showed you what CP1 was. And then you're like, okay, so now you understand the gravity of this without having to have prior knowledge. Unlike this part in the start of the level, which got a lot of people that have never played troll levels before confused because they didn't understand that this was text, or that it was important to the level, or that what auto meant, because it does mean at the start of the level usually. Oh yeah, all these one-ways are here so that I can fill the sprite limit very fast with this, and I don't have to take more of the player's time. Yeah, that is the Stevo, in air quotes, collab. I think the joke with the title is funny, and also it means that people play my level faster.